B from Nectar Mechanics, and in today's video we're going to be making a cardboard medieval axolotl cat armor. So here we go, I'm going to start this project off, and I think the first question is, why? Now, it's quite simple really. I was thinking, okay, what does well on YouTube? What's always popular on YouTube? And I thought, well, cats, obviously it's the internet. Axolotls are pretty big, yeah. Okay, how do I twist this into something that I could make and something that I'd enjoy? Well, I like making armor and helmets, so to kick things off, I wanted to start and figure out the helmet, because the helmet's going to dictate the size of everything else, and it's going to fit the shape. At the beginning of this project, I was going to make this an armor that my cat could wear. It's axolotl medieval cat, yeah. But something I need to prefix, so I'm not like, clickbaiting you, doesn't end well. For now though, in the early stages of the project, we're gonna just start wrapping cardboard, doing vague measurements of my cat, Monty. Say hello to Monty, he is adorable, we love him. To his head. So that way we can make sure that it actually fits. He's even got cute little ear holes. So cute! Now I took a lot of inspiration from medieval armors, because obviously that's the theme, but specifically like knight armors and horse armor. And then of course trying to make it look like an axolotl as well as not just generic armor. I mean, it was kind of easy for the helmet because I could just add the side ferns, what do you call those? On either side of the helmet. This meant that it could look vaguely axolotl-y while also actually like a helmet is. It was vague enough. The actual way I constructed this was just using cardboard and hot glue. Pretty much 90% of the base build is just cardboard and hot glue. What I typically tend to do is build the base structure out of the thicker cardboard that you normally get just in shipping boxes or whatever. And then if I wanted to do detail work or give it a smoother finish, then I would actually cover it in the cereal box cardboard. Cereal box cardboard is made slightly differently, so it doesn't have corrugations in it because it's thinner. And this means that it maintains its smoothness much better. So I've done many cardboard props in the past, not on this channel, but here's a couple pictures of some of them I've done. Yeah, they're pretty cool. But okay, if I've done these cardboard projects before, how am I gonna make this interesting for me as a creator? I wanna challenge myself. It's why I've been doing sculpting lately. So just that, I'm gonna try and use air dry clay to see if it's any good as being used to smooth cardboard. Normally you use spackle or plumbing cork or various other things, but air dry clay? I mean, I have it. Why not try it? So a key example of this was trying to do the helmet to keep it very, very smooth on that crest piece. I wanted the crest piece to be as smooth as I could feasibly get it. Now with air dry clay, the issue you have with this compared to spackle or plumbing cork is that once it dries fairly brittle. So small chunks would occasionally come off if you did it wrong. You'd have to repair those back later. Now because I'm doing this as cat armor, it's an axolotl with cat proportions. It needs to fit him. At least, like I said, initially. So for the body parts, I made a half cylinder of cardboard, essentially, with lots of layers so that it would maintain its shape. I actually used a strip of cardboard down the middle, so that way it would maintain its shape while I was working on it. Then once I'd added enough layers, I could get rid of that middle section, and it would still hold itself. Now I used a lot of cereal box cardboard to smooth this out, but I did deliberately leave some of the corrugated bits as almost sort of weird vent things, because I figured once I dry brush those later on, those are going to look like really cool details. Another cool thing that I got to do with the body parts is I wanted to make it have almost like bands, almost like weird sort of inscribings and stuff on the side. It wasn't meant to say words or anything, it just looked like cool patterns. And again, the thinner cardboard worked nicely for that. Now the back area needs to have a tail. It's a cat. It's gotta have a tail. And it's an axolotl. They have tails too. So I made a sort of articulated one at first, which had almost like a sort of fish flipper tip on the end. Then I'd also make shoulder pads that were also articulated. And by articulated, I mean they just had a thin bit of cardboard connecting them so that they could freely move. But then, disaster struck. I realized my cat hates this armor. Every time I put the helmet on, he does not, no. He completely shuts down and starts to have a bit of a panic attack. So I'm gonna just stop. Now, this was upsetting because my cat, it looks so cute in it, right? But what this actually meant was that I could build the armor stronger and make it a proper prop. So for things like the tail, I can actually get rid of the weak, thin, articulated tail and replace it with a much thicker, sturdier tail that, since it didn't have to move, would be much more solid and less likely to break if it hit something. Now, because of this new tail design, I got to try something else, which is making a sphere out of clay. Again, another experiment with air dry. I'm trying things out, okay? Now the way you do this is that you actually get a ball of tinfoil and you cover that in clay. You get it spherical enough by rubbing with your hands or whatever, but then you actually get a cup, like a glass cup, and the diameter of the cup you sort of press onto it, and slowly but surely it'll actually shave away excess layers of clay till it's all roughly the same all around. It's not perfect by any means, but if you did it long enough, you could get close. Then once the air dry clay dries, we can actually sand it smooth, but we'll get to sanding later on. Now other things started to come in the way of me finishing this project. See, my Chewbacca video had a deadline. That one had to be out, had to be sorted, that whole project. So, Axolotl had to be put on hold. And during this time put on hold, it just sort of sat there, gathering dust. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it. So, when I came back to it, I decided, okay, let's do a redesign, because I'm not fully feeling this sort of janky, spiky, horned, like, frills or whatever. That's not really what I'm liking. So I got some help to redesign it and everything. We took a picture of it and put it into Pixelmator. Then we could trace over it in Pixelmator and tweak that drawing. And then I could use that drawing as a reference to redesign it. And this is what started to lead to things like the Wrecking Ball tail and the better fin design, and also gave me a rough idea for how I wanted to color it, although that will change in a bit. So after a month's wait of putting it on the backlog, working on other projects that needed deadlines or whatever, starting a whole new YouTube sub-series of Transformer reviews, I could get to work on not the fun part of painting, but the annoying part of sanding. Because the whole point of this project was to see how smooth I could get certain stuff with the air dry clay. And let me tell you, I don't like sanding. It's coarse, it's rough, and irritating, and it gets everywhere. See, one of my friends put it the best, actually, is that you can tell when something's not been sanded, not when it has been. If it's not been sanded, it's gonna look lumpy, it's gonna look messy, but after the fact, it just looks how it should. But after maybe 3 days worth of sanding, getting rained on and having to stop, I could finally work on the fun part of painting. The thing I'd wanted to do from the very start, I could finally do it. For the first time ever, I got to try dry brushing cardboard. So to start things off, we're going to do a base color, and for this, I'm going to just use black, because black is a good base color for any other colors I want to do. And if I miss any spots, it's going to look as if I've done a wash on it already, so it will highlight those darker spots and give it more texture. Once the black had dried, I can then go over everything with a coat of silver, and this was actually just a mix of black and silver to get it slightly darker. It's almost like dark grey, but sparkling. Then, once all of the silver and everything had been put down, I could then start to go and do other details, like the purple, which I wanted to be its accent colour. Whoa, hold up. Why am I doing the Axolotl dark grey and purple? Aren't they like white and pink? Sort of. See, the white and pink ones are actually specially bred to have those colours. Naturally in Mexico, they actually are grey with the purple, and I mean, I wanted to do these colours anyway, and to find that out was like, hey, I have a convenient excuse. So I did a custom mix of Buzz Lightyear purple to give it a nice accent colour, and then I could start doing the weathering, because I really wanted to do a lot of weathering on this project. Now the first part of the weathering was the wash, so I just got very thinned down black paints and coated everything. This also helped fill in any of the gaps so that it was, again, highlighted, darker shadows, all of that cool stuff. It also muted the colours a bit, which is what I wanted. And now I can do the very fun thing of dry brushing. See, I've done dry brushing before on the clay Cyber Bunny and the Chewbacca, but I've never done it on something made of cardboard. Both of those were two like clay creations. Never done it on a cardboard thing. So I chose to dry brush it with white. Now I've done that before because it's a contrasting colour, especially as when using dark greys and blacks. To be honest, if I did this again, I'd do it more of like a grey than a white. It's kind of too bright, but it did give it a cool sort of frosted effect on the purple, which is really what I wanted. The best part about the dry brushing is that it highlights all the edges as well. So all of those like cool pattern stuff that I talked about earlier really popped from the dark grey background. So we're pretty much done with the Axolotl armor at this point, right? It's about there, the painting's been done nicely. I'm happy with the design. It's been glued together now, so it's all solid and steady. But I want to do something extra. See, if this is going to look like a medieval armor, I want to kind of make it like a medieval armor that you'd find in a museum. I want to make it a display. So to do this display, I glued magnets into the bottom of the armor, then magnets onto cardboard tubes. Then I could use these tubes to prop it up and make sure the distance was correct and everything, all of that stuff. Then I could make a base. Now, unlike my clay creations, this isn't like some sort of cool mini diorama base. This is just a base to hold it up and give it that museum look. So I made a box out of the standard thicker cardboard like before, and then I covered it in the thin cereal box cardboard. Again, once I got everything mostly put together, I wanted to make a little box that could have the label of the armor. And I also wanted this to be slightly on an angle. Doesn't need to be much, there's no real reason for it to be, but I thought it would look fancy, and it did. So I put the extra effort in to make sure that worked correctly. Then I would paint everything black using the last of my glossy black paint, and then I'd paint the edges with gold, just to give it a nice contrasty color. Now for the label, I printed off the text just to make sure it was as neat and accurate as I could, and then I get a thin sheet of acrylic plastic to put over the top to make it look glossy. Now, with all of this done, we've done the painting, we've done the base and everything. After 2 months or so of putting it on hold, I think I'm finally done. Doesn't that look really cool? I'm really happy with how the dry brushing has highlighted the purple. It contrasts really, really nicely. That's not to say I have a couple of gripes. Air dry clay is not a good filler. You can, but it's not good. I think my main issue I had with this is that it just looks very cardboardy, if you know what I mean. A lot of this was I was kind of done with this project and I just wanted it done, so, you know, I cut corners and stuff. The reason I like this prop though is because of the paint job. The actual construction, meh. Paint job, yeah, I like that. So don't use half chopped up glue sticks as rivets. They end up getting kind of mushed and they don't look nice and flat. The clay wrecking ball that I wanted to do for the tail worked really nicely, but I should have hot glued the spikes onto it rather than trying to dig it into it, because that cracked it. It looks like a cool weathered look and I'm fine with that, but if you want it smooth, glue it on, not into. If I was doing this as a standard like prop beforehand, not doing it for the cat, then obviously I wouldn't have the ear holes that I had to block up. Those kind of stick out a bit. It's a cool fun detail. I paint some purple and everything, they look nice, but nah. So I think all I would say is just maybe spend that extra little bit of effort to try and smooth it out and do your best to just make it look a bit less cardboardy, I think. That's what I'm going for. Now, you're probably thinking, hang on, what did I see on the thumbnail? You promised a cat in the armor. Yeah, okay, so the cat can't fit in the armor. It's too heavy for him. It physically cannot fit on him as well. I've added various construction bits inside it. It doesn't fit. But with the magic of Photoshop, he looks so fluffy and so cute and ready to fight. There you go, internet. Axolotl medieval cat armor. You happy? So yeah, that's been another fun project here on Nectar Mechanics. I have plenty other various builds going out at the moment. I've got the Chewbacca video, I've got the Cyber Bunny, various things. And I also have a side project, which is my Transformers Tuesday, which I have neglected to get this video out, but that's fine. Stay tuned, because next time I'm going to be making a clay Iron Man based on the 60s version. Yeah, you don't see that very often. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe, like, do the things, and I will catch you some point later. Bye!